Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to Apply. All right, so today is a very special episode. I'm bringing back my good friend, Dr. Martin Trevino. Marty, man, we've been on this road now for, I feel like 2 solid years of getting this book out, of like putting it together, of curating the authors, of getting the content out. And man, I just like to say, welcome back to the show.
Oh, no, my honor to be here, Adam. I love being with you guys. You guys are cutting edge thought leaders, and just my endless gratitude for your team putting the book together, putting the talks together, helping to publish the papers, and say smart, say smart, good things to the world.
Yeah, well, good to have you back. And we got a lot to talk about. So again, this is a celebration. Dr. Marty's just recently been published in our best-selling business leaders book series, volume 11. I cannot believe we're already on volume 11. And it's such a thrill, such an honor. But we'll start this episode with our Mission Matters Minute. So Dr. Marty, at Mission Matters, as you're well aware, our aim and our goal is to amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. That's what we do. Dr. Marty, what mission matters to you?
Well, the passion of my life is data-driven decision making. How can we make better decisions with data as people? And over the last few years, with the inclusion of artificial intelligence into the equation, how can we build unique, novel models of humans, AIs in complementarity for really good defined outcomes?
Yeah. Well, you're my guy when it comes to AI, when it comes to figuring out how AI and how humans are going to interact, and what this next paradigm of the world looks like as things are moving so fast. So first off, I want to read the title of Dr. Marty's chapter. I have the book here, and we'll start there. But Advanced Concepts: A Cognitive Neuroscience Approach to Human AI Complementary and DX. Dr. Marty, maybe let's start off, because even though you've been on the show before, we've been very blessed. The show's growing, lot of new listeners. Maybe start a little bit with your background, and just so that people understand why you're so qualified to comment on this subject.
Yeah, so doctorate degree. I'm a cognitive neuroscientist and technologist. My specialty is how the human brain makes decisions, and particularly high risk decisions with data. So I'm most concerned, with improving decision making with analytics and data, and understanding why the brain does certain things. So I approach the whole DX, digital transformation and data-driven decision making, from the unique lens of the human brain versus a pure technology approach. So again, business degree, doctorate degrees. I served with the National Security Agency for many, many years as a senior strategist and United States cyber expert. In the last 6 years, I left government service and have been working in the private sector with startups and large organizations to help them figure out data-driven decision making, and now human AI complementarity.
Yeah. So I like how you word that, the human AI complementarity. So let's first define that. I don't want to assume. I know when you first told me the term, I didn't understand it. I've talked to you many times, and I've interviewed you a couple times. I don't want to assume everybody else does. Human AI complementarity. What the heck does that even mean?
Yeah, well, let's go to what NVIDIA's CEO Jason Huang said a few weeks ago, right, as they rolled out new products. He said AI will be a horizontal enabler to the entire firm, right? All right, and by that, people think of AI in basically two ways. Is it going to replace people, or is it going to augment human beings in the best ways, right? And I think replacement is definitely going to happen in some parts and places, but that's really a conversation for the future. Today, the key to creating value in organizations and for a digital transformation or startup is pairing humans and AI together. So the AI does not understand context without human inputs. All right. So that is absolutely critical. So people say, well, you're going to turn this AI loose and it's going to take away all of our jobs. Well, it's pretty hard when the AI has no idea of the context. So the real key here in our conversation for today is to think about digital transformation from from all aspects of the continuum, right? The far end is very simple. That AI is a tool. It's another tool. We're going to bring it in. That's really not correct, because AI is a thinking, logic, reasoning, a form of intelligence, and you could even say super intelligence. At the other end, you have the human centric aspect of it. We have to think deeply about about artificial intelligence coming in within a digital transformation, but we have to think about it from a cognition lens, okay?
Hmm.
Because you are now introducing a new form of intelligence, okay? And you don't have to think about it as super intelligence or, in that realm, but it is. If you have a new form of intelligence coming into the organization,
Hmm.
we have the opportunity to push the art of the possible, right? To
Yeah.
rethink, to rethink cognition at every level, from the individual to this micro team to the larger team to the division to the enterprise, because
Hmm.
you now have this thing in there, and we're going to have to create entirely new rhythms of work. So you can think about AI as just a simple tool. Well, we've given you access to ChatGPT or to Gemini. That we're an AI organization now.
Yeah.
Nothing is that simple. Nothing is that simple. It never. That's what everyone is going to do.
Right.
For those looking to push the art of the possible, right? We have to think about entirely new rhythms of work at
Hmm.
every level, just like hold-ons from an individual to bigger circle, and bigger circle. And artificial intelligence has the ability now to entangle all of us from a
Hmm.
cognitive perspective. So can we create, throw out some new terms here, right? Can we create, cognitive entanglement? Can we
Hmm.
create distributed cognition? Cool idea. Deep thinking in the realm
Hmm.
of complementarity.
Yeah. What would that even look like? Like not the
Mm-hmm.
functionality of like what it's going to take to get us there, because
Mm-hmm.
I know that's still maybe a little bit
Yeah.
on the theoretical, and it's still it's still being invented as we speak, right? But what could be on the other side of that? Like, because you hear, we're looking at something sci-fi way back when to now,
Mm-hmm.
where we're at today. What could it even look like on the other side?
Yeah. Well, and that's where every company is a little bit different there. We have to fundamentally deepen our conceptual thinking, right? If you think AI is just a tool and it's something to be paid X amount of money for, and people now have access to it, and they'll
Yeah.
figure it out. Okay, yeah, they will, but that's at the individual level. At
Hmm.
the enterprise level, okay, if you're going to build an organization around this, we
Hmm.
have to think we have to think of the inclusion of a new form of intelligence as possibly a connective tissue, the term sinew, right, from the human body. Can we think of AI as being a connective tissue between individuals and other individuals, individuals within a team framework, team to team, organization wide? This type of modeling scales infinitely,
Hmm.
okay? And it is a fundamental change to how teams work, because this new form of intelligence can function as to fill or to bridge knowledge gaps.
Hmm.
Okay, even execution gaps. Right? You hear a lot of talk of AI agents, and we can now program AI agents to do all kinds of wonderful things, and they can self-optimize, and that's true, right? So
Yeah.
within cyber physical systems, especially within multi-loop environments, the AI can now function with a degree, whatever autonomy you grant it, but they can self-improve, self-learn, and even share proactively with other members of the team, or look at what each member of the team is doing. Think of it not just your personal AI intelligence, but one that stretches across all the team, and it is watching what everyone does, extracting the goodness, looking for patterns,
Mhm.
and then can bring it all together. So if you and I are working on the same project and we're looking at different aspects of it, and the AI detects some opportunity in there or an
Mm.
anomaly, or etc., it can move in a fully autonomous way to say, Adam, right, take a look at this. This is what Marty's tackling on this end.
Yeah.
It might be really interesting if the two of you talked about why. So it can even interact proactively, right? But the fact that we have this entire new intelligence operating within this team gives us an absolute ability to revisit, right? Revisit
Mm.
our workflows, revisit the way we think, revisit the way we do everything.
So, I always I got to play the other side of this too, Dr. Marty. How are people going to go wrong with this? Like with this concept and with trying to, whether the word is probably the word isn't optimized, but in their use cases, how are people going to go wrong?
Yeah, well, the simplest way to go wrong is to think of it very simplistic, right?
Mhm.
Simplistically, right? It's just a new tool. We're going to bring it in, and you see this in marketing a lot, right? We're
Yeah.
now we are now able to create content left and right and auto publish the content.
Thousands of
And
clips of
right,
things people are never going to watch. Go ahead. I just,
right, exactly. And you see the talking heads. Well, this will now replace your your social media manager. Oh, yes, possibly,
yeah.
but that's the lowest level of thinking. And oh, by the way, everyone is doing that, so you're not differentiating yourself. The easiest way to go wrong is to think of it as just buying another tool for your computer.
Hmm.
Okay. The other way people can go wrong is to fail to understand the capabilities of current right large language models and neural nets. They are very good at some things, but they are not again so good at other things. And it's that it's that real work, right, that
Yeah.
has to be put in. And you know this because you built a business from scratch, right? There are very few things that are given to you on a single platter, right?
Mhm.
You have to think about things at the deepest level. And so when we think about bringing AI into the organization, we really have to sit down and think about it at the most fundamental levels. Because
Hmm.
the Jensen said, AI will be a horizontal enabler. He's right. He's correct. But the
Hmm.
devil is in the details, and
Yeah.
that details is in conceptual thinking.
Hmm.
Okay, everybody's going to do the easy. Very few people are going to do the hard. Think about the hard in redefining cognition at every level: collaboration, creation, problem solving, knowledge management. Right?
Hmm.
This AI integration and has the potential to revolutionize knowledge management,
Hmm.
revolutionize it. So simplest where people go wrong, they don't think about it enough. Moving on to the next problem. I paid my $200 to open AI, and everybody now has their take at the highest levels. They don't
Hmm.
really understand the capabilities of, and that's very hard. Which is why people like me have a job is that we spend all of our time understanding those capabilities, matching those
Hmm.
capabilities to job roles, so that when you do spend money in terms of your digital transformation, you spend it in an optimal way, right?
Hmm.
You need the biggest bang for the buck. You need to get things up front. Can't afford to make too many mistakes.
Hmm. Now, I know that you work with a lot of companies and even, venture VCs, family
Mhm.
offices, a lot of different things, and as a consultant and giving your insight into what's going on in AI, and then also this concept of complementarity so that people can start planning and companies can start planning for what's next. How do you deal with in these conversations? I'm sure it has to come up, like the fear of what AI is going to do next or what's possible, and like is it going to, and I don't mean at the surface level of like it's going to take our jobs. I don't mean that. I mean like at the systemic level. Like how do you handle like those conversations, like to be a fly on the wall in those meetings?
So the fear runs when people are uninformed, right?
Hmm.
If you walk in, if you say we have a huge new focus on artificial intelligence, we're going to bring AI in, and we're going to incorporate it at every level of the firm. If you leave it at that, then fear spreads throughout the organization. And the next thing people think is, I'm losing my job.
Yeah.
When you bring it in within a change management context, okay,
Mm.
you talk about the details first, right? It's we're bringing in artificial intelligence as a new partner to you, right? And that's critical because that's complementarity. We're bringing AI,
You mean the
AI,
way we talk about it, we're bringing in AI
right,
as a new partner. It's just like you're
right,
introducing a new employee.
right. That's exactly right. We're bringing in a new partner who is 100% dependent on your ability to create context.
Yeah.
The AI can help you solve problems at speed and scale, right? But if you just leave it on the table with nothing, with no inputs, it doesn't know what to do next. It doesn't know how to tackle. And today, it's term prompts, right? People talk about prompts. Prompts are not something silly or dumb. They're actually they provide boundaries, they provide context, they provide direction for what
Mm.
the artificial intelligence is intended to do. And what you find if you want to produce anything is it actually takes hours of working with the AI iteratively, right? Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and refining those inputs to the artificial intelligence system. And you're learning the whole time too, and you're adding your goodness onto that as well. So,
Mm.
so if you walk in and say, "Hey, we're bringing in artificial intelligence," and you drop it there, then yeah, you're going to have fear and mistrust, and people are going to resist using it. If you bring it in and you frame it properly, that
Mm.
this is an enabler to all the human goodness that we have here. And quite frankly, it is mistaken thinking. If you think I'm going to bring in AI and I'm going to reduce my headcount by X percentage, you're missing the boat. For the next decade, at least, again, for the next decade, the key to creating strategic advantages is in complementarity. Is in how can we uniquely make humans and artificial intelligence and other forms of technology together to get defined outcomes. It's not how do we replace half the organization.
Yeah. And it's also, to me, it's also how do we redistribute like skill sets? Like, so people want to have more value in their jobs and in their roles, and they want to learn and do things that are more complex. So if you can get some help, and if it, you can complement each other, then you learn, you grow faster. Your job, your day to day feels hopefully more meaningful because you're making more of a contribution, and at the same time you're like engaged. You're engaged because even that learning process of working with AI is a form of being engaged in what you're doing, because otherwise you can't get any result really, like, and nothing worth meaningful. So it's almost like, I shouldn't use the word forced, but maybe it is forced engagement. If you're going to be using the tool, I mean, you have to be, you can't be a passive bystander. You have to like be actively thinking to use the tool.
No, it has to be dynamic. It's dynamic iteration together.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about real
That's better than
work
my
and real
words, Dr. Marty, forced, but I would expect you to use something fancy like dynamic.
dynamic iterating together. There you go. Right.
That's better than forced participation.
Yeah, I'll need to trademark that right after we're done with this here. Yeah, exactly.
So they
but forced. Yeah, you go right to the harsh stuff here. You know, I'm a little more. I'm a little smoother with it there. But but again, you have to frame this properly. We have a new intelligence in the equation. That intelligence is distributed, right? It can create collaborative loops, okay? And think of it this way, right? Collaborative loops between individuals, between teams, between directorates. It can move across those at speed and scale, and it can even drive that iteration together, right? Because it can pull everything that everybody's working on one project correlated to other projects and bring that information, to both the team and the individual to be interacted with, and that person can iterate with it and refine whatever those outputs or insights are. And one of the really cool ways that's being pushed out there now is like mergers and acquisitions, right? What are we going to buy next? Where do we expand to the next markets? What you see now is both access to the open source AI and then the proprietary, right, sitting on the desk in new modules with company specific data and multiple large screens and multiple experts, but you have multiple even types of AI right there, and they're all interacting together. And the artificial intelligence can pull financial data, it can pull geopolitical data, it can pull availability of resources and skill sets and what the job market looks like right there, and what the tax rates are, and growth projections for entire industries or specific companies. And so even in the realms that were once wholly human centric, okay, require high degrees of a very lateral thinking, okay, if you will. Now, this new complementarity, if you will, so it still requires the human expert strategies, very abstract concept. But now that person is being augmented in ways we never thought before. Well, before you would have to have a whole team of people, and they would go out and do all kinds of research and bring it back to the senior strategist. Now you can do all of that work in hours and have this beautiful picture of what the opportunities are from an M&A perspective, legal challenges, or, growth perspectives, integration between companies, and it's all on multiple screens right in front of you, and you're dynamically interacting with it. And that brings us to a really cool concept. We now don't consider AI as simply a tool, but we do need new tools to determine the effectiveness of how well we're utilizing that, right? Where we bring it in, is it effective? Did we desire to reduce the workload, right? What we are seeing in many places that the entrance of AI is in fact increasing productivity, right? And you see several studies by up to 25, 27%. But in Other studies we're seeing when it's not very well implemented,
Mm,
it's actually not impacting productivity, and it's impacting cognitive load in very negative ways. And the last
mm,
thing we need to do is increase cognitive load on employees. Within this, we need to very much think about not only reconceptualizing and presenting it to the team properly, like you said. This is a world of collaboration, right, and complementarity. But then we need new tools and new methods to determine, did we do the right thing? Are we getting the
mhm.
bang for the buck? Because you can't, again, if you're just going to implement it and declare victory and run to the next project, this it's not going to work for this. This is here to stay.
Yeah.
This is now something we will deal with for the rest of our lives.
Hmm. Man, Dr. Marty, you're on fire today. You got me all fired up over here. I'm over here like, come on, where's this AI and this complementary? Do something for me. I'm engaged, man. What kind of companies are you working with right now? A lot of people that we're going to push this out to. So who gets the most value out of working with you and your team?
So thank you for that. I spent the last number of months taking care of a family, with
Mm,
end of life type issues, and lay family to rest.
mhm.
So I am really just coming back into things after several months
Yeah.
of that. And I got together with a couple of friends of mine in the VC community and very, very senior executives, and said, what if we created a new institute, call it a research and implementation initiative, that we could help senior executives with everything from just good quality research, right?
Yeah.
What is AI actually capable of? Because there's no way you can be a working senior executive or even mid-level executive and keep up with the pace of advancement. You need some information intelligence to distill that into a
Yeah.
handful of bullet points that are relevant for you, timely. So we've conceptualized and we'll get ready to put it out there. And as a matter of fact, I'd love you guys to have a look at it because you are the experts in promotion and marketing, and you guys know the way people think as much as I do
Yeah.
from a slightly different lens. But we're creating and getting ready to fund a whole new institute that may be able
Wow.
to derive value from data, that's going to map very, very functionally where
Mm,
to bring AI in the organization to get the biggest bang for the buck, and then even judge its effectiveness on the backside. And I published a really cool article a few months ago in Pipeline Magazine, and it touched on the concept of new tools from a visualization perspective, right? So we have this super intelligence. Do dashboards cut it anymore?
yeah.
Right? Does your good old fashioned dashboard from the 1990s cut it? And I will argue, no, it doesn't. It
Mm,
doesn't. So we're introducing, as part of this initiative, a concept that we call movement through data. So as we introduce AI in there, can we fundamentally redo the user interfaces within the organizations to be
mm,
combinations of 3 and 2 dimensional, with the AI building them and augmenting them automatically, based on your needs, what other people are looking at, highlight the differences, help 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 avoid heuristic errors. And this called multidimensional object space type interfaces hold hold real tremendous potential. So yeah, you'll see that out there. I'll introduce that on LinkedIn and other places.
What's
And
the name of the institute?
we're calling it the Sentia Research and Technology Institute. So knowledge, research, and technology implementation. Yeah.
Love
So
it.
get get our hands dirty and helping
Yeah.
companies implement things from a digital transformation, create value in data for companies that cannot afford to lose the AI race.
Yeah. Dr. Marty, how do people follow up? How do they connect with you?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. Find me on LinkedIn. You can always search me on Mission Matters. We've done 2 or 3 of these together now, and you guys have helped push a couple of articles out there. So you can easily search me on Mission Matters, Dr. Marty Trevino, and you'll find me on these great podcasts. And if you can do that, you can link to me on LinkedIn, and the same thing, just Dr. Marty Trevino, cognitive neuroscientist, and I'm not hard to find.
Fantastic. And for everybody watching, just so you know, we'll put some links in the show notes. And speaking of the audience, if you haven't hit the subscribe or follow button yet, what are you waiting for? This is a daily show. Each and every day, we're bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way in your journey as well. So again, hit that subscribe or follow button. And Dr. Marty, again, congrats on becoming an author in our recently
Oh,
released
thank you.
Mission Matters Volume 11. We're just starting the promo of this book. So just for everybody, so everybody knows, we'll put the links in the show notes so that you can also click on the books. We sell books, buy a couple of copies, give them away to your friends. Like you'll see more of Dr. Marty's work in the book, and he expands on it. So thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you, sir. Always a pleasure. Take care of yourself.